Hi guys, this is Jonathan Lamb with Maths and Stats, and in this video, another video in our series of videos dealing with polynomial functions, and in particular solving cubic equations. What we're going to concentrate on is using the rational root test to help us to solve for x a particular polynomial, particular polynomial function or cubic equation. Okay? And what we want to do is we want to solve for x, okay, the polynomial that looks like this. It's x cubed minus 5x squared plus 2x plus 8 equals 0. We want to solve that particular polynomial. And what we're going to use is we're going to use the rational root test. Okay? So we're going to use the rational root test that allows us to identify some possible roots of the polynomial. And just keep in mind that the cubic equation is of the form a3 x to the 3 plus a2 x to the 2 plus a1 x plus a0. Okay, that this particular cubic equation looks something like this. It's a cubic polynomial. You can see that the coefficient of x cubed is in this case is a 1. The coefficient of x squared is a minus 5, that's a2. The coefficient of x is a positive 2, and the a0 is an 8. And what the rational root test tells us is that possible roots, okay, can be found by considering the factors of a0 divided by the factors of a3. It's actually plus or minus those things. So these are all possible roots. So let's have a look at a0. a0 is the constant term. It's an 8, okay? So a0 is equal to 8. So its factors, and let's just look at its positive factors, because the plus or minus is going to sort things out here for us. Yeah, its positive factors are 1, 2, 4, and 8. They're the only numbers that divide into 8. Okay, let's look at a3. a3 is the coefficient of the x cubed term. And in this case, there's only one x cubed, so a3 is equal to 1. So now we have that its factors, the only factors of 1, positive factors, are 1 itself. So what we're going to do now is we're going to consider all of the plus or minuses. Okay, so we're going to consider plus or minus each one of these a0 factors over the factors of a3. Yeah, so we're going to have 1 over 1. We're going to have plus or minus 1 over 1. 2 over 1, so we're going to have plus or minus 2 over 1. We're going to have 4 over 1, so plus or minus 4 over 1. 8 over 1, so it's going to be plus or minus 8 over 1. So the rational root test tells us that possible roots of this particular polynomial are effectively 1 minus 1, 2 minus 2, 4 minus 4, and 8 minus 8. So what we're going to do here is we're not going to plug them all in. We could. This wouldn't actually take too long just to plug these 8 values in here to see which ones are roots, and then we have the solutions to the particular polynomial. But what we're going to do in this particular exercise is we're just going to find one of these numbers that solves this particular polynomial, and then we know that if that's a root, well then x minus it must be a factor. And what we're going to do then is we're going to factor this polynomial through using the division algorithm or using division. Okay, so let's try let's say when x is equal to 1. Well, what do we get here? We get it's going to be 1 cubed minus 5 times 1 squared plus 2 times 1 plus 8. And what does that give us? Well, that gives us 1 cubed is just 1, minus 5 times 1 squared is minus 5, 2 times 1 gives me 2. So that gives me 1 minus 5 plus 2 plus 8, which is 10, 11. 11 minus 5 is actually going to give us a 6, which isn't equal to 0. Okay, so x equals 1 ain't a root of this particular polynomial. So let's look at the next one. X is equal to minus 1. Well, what does that give us? That gives us minus 1 cubed minus 5 times minus 1 squared plus 2 times minus 1 plus 8. What's that? That's minus 1 cubed is minus 1 times minus 1 times minus 1, which gives us a minus 1. Minus 1 squared is going to be a positive 1 times the minus 5 gives us minus 5. 2 times minus 1, 2 multiplied by minus 1 gives us minus 2, and then we have the positive 8. And hopefully what you can see here is that we have -1, -5, -6 gives us -8 in total, which is a 0. So now what we know is this. So from the rational root test, okay, we have that x equals -1 is a root of this particular polynomial. What does that mean? Well, then, if x is equal to -1, this implies that x plus 1 is a factor. Okay, so we know then that this will divide into this. So let's now do the division. We could continue on and test 2 minus 2, 4 minus 4, 8 minus 8. Okay, and they would give us hopefully the other possible roots. Okay, but what we're going to do now is we're going to actually do this division. We're going to divide this factor into this polynomial. So let's do that. So we have x plus 1 needs to be divided into the polynomial x cubed minus 5x squared plus 2x plus 8. And the way we do this is we take the x term and we divide it into the first term here. So x divided into x cubed goes x squared times, because x squared times x is x cubed. So now what we do is we take the x squared and we multiply it by